This message comes from Angie. Tackling a home project, Angie can connect you with pros who do such a good job you might ask them to be your kid's godfather. Don't do that. Just trust them to get the job done. Find a pro for your projects at Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
Tatum, have you ever used an Instagram feature for something other than its intended purpose?
You know, not to be holier than thou, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that I use the platform as intended. I think maybe the shadiest thing I've ever done is like remove somebody from my close friends because I'm like, you're a close friend, but not that close. Not for this topic, honey.
So I'm going to be honest. Instagram doesn't always feel good to use, but whether it's for professional development or to increase your dating prospects, people feel like they have to use it. For me, I miss the old Instagram when you could post a meme and go on about your day. Now, to me at least, it can feel kind of like walking through a mall, like there's hundreds of brands trying to sell you something, and maybe, just maybe, you might run into someone you know on the way out. Now, even though I wouldn't consider myself like the IG diva, I know from your lovely posts about the show that many of you are daily users. So that means you might know about Instagram Plus. According to Meta, Instagram Plus is a monthly subscription that unlocks exclusive features designed to deepen your friendships, give you more control over your experience, and let you express yourself in new ways. These features range from cute new emoji reactions on posts to controlling how, when, for how long, and who sees your Instagram content, all for the minimal monthly price of $3.99. Now, I'll just step forward and be the first to say that I'm not really planning on using these features, but I figure many of you are considering it, and some may be using them already. And it made me curious about what these features say about the way we engage with each other online. So to dive into the anxious impulses that some of these features may be playing on, I invited Tatum Hunter, writer and journalist covering digital privacy and internet culture, back to the show. Welcome back to It's Been a Minute, Tatum.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hello, hello. I'm Brittany Luce, and you're listening to It's Been a Minute from NPR, a show about what's going on in culture and why it doesn't happen by accident. And a reminder, if you love It's Been a Minute, which from the sweet comments y'all have been leaving, it sounds like maybe you do, be sure to follow or subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app. That way you get new episodes the moment they drop. What was your reaction when you saw the features added with Instagram Plus? This is a lot of stuff for $3.99 a month.
I was not shocked. I was not surprised. I think that if you are working, on the product side of a social media company, you see all the insights and all the data about how people use the app, both in ways that you've built for it to be used and in ways that it wasn't built to be used. So some of these features, that you're saying might lend themselves to people's more anxious impulses about their friendships, their relationships, the way they present themselves. I think they're ways that people have already been using the app that, on the back end, Meta can see and then acknowledge with a collection of new features like this.
So it's like they're responding to their user base, basically.
Yeah, there's a lot of these features are addressing things people were clearly already doing on Instagram, as well as, that Meta's going to notice like a third-party app that pops up claiming to let people peek behind the scenes and see who follows and unfollows them, who's stalking them, who views their stories the most, etc.
Oh, it's kind of like a desire path. For those of you who don't know, it's if you've ever been to like a public park or a university campus or something like that, where there's like usually all this beautiful lawn. And then sometimes there's these little paths that are just worn from people wanting to get from point A to point B in the quickest fashion. They're not official paths. They are desire paths. They're the paths that you want to take. And it sounds like with sort of the way that Instagram users were engaging with the app, they were kind of finding ways to sort of like get in through the back door to create the feature that they wanted. And now Instagram's like, hey, I'll give this to you for a fee.
Exactly. Instagram says, I see you scrolling through your story views for an hour to find that one person to see if they looked at your story. I'm going to give you what you clearly want, which is a search bar to look for this person. So I don't think they're forcing these features upon us, right?
Yeah. There's people that want them.
Mm-hmm. I think it definitely goes back to what you mentioned about Instagram kind of becoming this unofficial dating app or this addition to your official dating apps, where a lot of these features behind the paywall in Instagram Plus, I think do have some connection to dating, romance, and relationships.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about these new features. Let's go down the list. Can you tell me which of these features might give you pause as a tech reporter that covers interpersonal surveillance? Okay, so there's super hearts. What is that?
My understanding of super hearts is that it creates some sort of animation. So it's like liking a story, but bigger and better.
It sounds kind of like super like from the dating app Tinder. It's like you're trying to really show somebody that you want their attention and that you're really feeling them or whatever.
That's such a good point. Kind of another dating app oblique connection there.
Interesting. Okay. Like, how do you feel about that from like a privacy perspective?
I'm going to say green light. Let's all celebrate each other with as many animations and exploding hearts as we desire.
I'm actually into that. I've been sending people fire emojis. I only recently found out that some people read into that as like romantic overture. And I'm like, oh, Lord, I didn't know this. Whoops. Exactly. What about multiple story audiences? What is that all about?
Ooh, okay. I'm going to give this one a red light.
Oh.
Not for privacy reasons, but for pure shadiness reasons. Regular Instagram offers one option for sharing a story with an audience other than your general audience. It's called close friends. You build a list of people that you can share directly to them on your story. Only they will see it. The rest of your followers will not. And what people will occasionally do if they're feeling particularly unhinged is they will put one person, perhaps like their crush, on a close friends list and then share something sexy, maybe something kind of intimate, some sort of honeypot or dangling carrot for their crush.
Oh, and making it seem like it's not just for that person. You're just like, oh, this is me being casually sexy. So is it like people are basically like whittling their close friends down to one person? You know, the object of their desire is the close friend, and then they had to re-add everybody else. Is that what people were doing?
Exactly. Imagine the person hours that have gone into whittling and then rebuilding your close friends list if you are experimenting with this. So having multiple options for, private lists of friends could really open the door to some true hijinks as far as presenting one version of yourself in your life, to one or more people and a totally different version to a different set. So of course, is that inherently bad? No, but it definitely, there's some potential for some serious shadiness.
Yeah, some serious drama. I also feel like it's one of the things that I'm like, oh, it's only a matter of time before like a high profile person really royally screws one of those up.
Oh my God. It's going to be a senator and it's going to be next week.
Okay. What about story preview? What is that?
So that's the ability to glance at someone's story without it showing them that you've seen it. So normally if you post something to Instagram stories, it comes with a list of all the people, followers and otherwise, who have looked at it. So if you're stalking your boyfriend's ex-girlfriend on Instagram, maybe you want to watch her stories, but you would be quite embarrassed if she saw you watching her stories.
Right.
So this is where you can long tap on the person's profile picture instead of a short tap, and it will pull up a preview of the story without revealing that you've been looking.
Oh, wow. Okay. What do you think about that from like data privacy surveillance perspective?
Oh, this is definitely one of my less favorites on the list. When you share something on social media, on many platforms, you don't get to see who's looking at it. And we're used to that, right? You put something out there, you're open to the idea that someone you don't know personally, someone you're not aware of might be looking at it. But on Instagram, we've gotten pretty used to stories being something that you have this almost gut check about. If someone who makes you anxious or nervous is looking at your life in a way where you'd prefer maybe to block them or not have them there. And this will make it impossible to know know for sure if someone that you haven't blocked is peeking into your story.
Oh my gosh, that is, whew, that is tricky stuff. That is really tricky stuff. I'm like, the real Instagram stalkers, like you said, if you're trying to ex's old partner or something like that. I mean, I've never done this, but I do know that a thing people do is like have fake accounts or something like that, or like so that they can follow someone surreptitiously and sort of see what they're up to. That's more than I can keep up with. But the story preview seems like it would cut through all of that. Like you don't have to make fake accounts anymore. You can just like get in there and sort of like have a look around and step back out without being detected. That is, ooh.
Absolutely.
What about story rewatch insights? I feel like this is one that I've heard about. This is like where you can see how long people are watching your stories or how many times or something like that. What is that?
Yeah, this to me feels pretty innocuous. This feels more like a creator tool where it's almost like getting some sort of data about whether people are rewatching your regular content. You're learning if people are going back to see your story more than once, which means that it's resonating. And this is more of a general thing. You can't see if an individual person is rewatching your stories.
Okay, because I was like, wow. I thought it was set up so that you could see if an individual person was rewatching your stories, which I was like, oh Lord, that would have the potential to tear apart the fabric of our society. Okay, and lastly, what about search viewer list? That's a feature that allows you to do what?
This is where you can go through the list of people who have viewed your stories. And as it stands right now, you have to scroll through. If you're looking to see if some particular special person is watching your story, if you have a lot of followers, you might be scrolling and scrolling and scrolling to try to spot that person's name and profile picture. This gives you a search function to just say, hey, did Brittany look at this? And I can punch in your name and see if you're among the story viewers.
Wow. Okay. So I wonder, what do these story features say about the relationship between our impulses and the way that we use Instagram?
I think that as our lives, our professional lives, our social lives have migrated online in the last, 15, 20 years, it creates a lot more digital touch points as we move through our lives, right? Like if you're talking about data privacy, for example, you start looking at all the little breadcrumbs you leave around the internet.
Oh, yeah.
And what that has done to our, especially romantic relationships, it's kind of created more digital touch points for your partner that you want to know about. Suddenly they have this whole vector of their lives that happens online and on social media that you're not privy to in the way that you kind of would have been more so when we are living in this totally analog world. And so it creates more elements of your partner's life that you don't know about, or your crush's life that you don't know about. And it kind of opens the door for these more granular forms of monitoring, maybe control, in the worst cases, stalking and abuse, in the best cases, kind of anxiety and curiosity.
Coming up after the break.
How on earth am I connecting more deeply with my friends by watching their stories in secret?
Stick around.
This message comes from MIDI Health. CEO Joanna Strober shares the personal experience that led her to start a virtual care platform for women in perimenopause and menopause.
I was having anxiety, I had gained weight, I wasn't sleeping, and my primary care doctor never once said that perhaps I was in perimenopause and that all these things could be related to my hormones. So I had a really tough time for quite a while, and a friend recommended that I try a concierge doctor. She prescribed hormones for me, a combination of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. And I felt very relieved that I had this care. And I also had a lot of sadness that I had spent such a long period of time going through this and not getting the right care. And so essentially what we really want to do at MIDI is democratize access to this type of care.
MIDI Health, committed to helping women in midlife with perimenopause and menopause care, accessible via telehealth visits at joinmidi.com.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Carvana. Carvana makes car buying easy. 100% online, prices down to the penny, delivered to your door. Why make car buying hard when it could be easy? Visit Carvana.com today. Terms may apply.
This message comes from Whole Foods Market with their Summer Fruit Fest, highlighting seasonal organic produce, complementary pairings like prosciutto and cheeses, and proteins raised without antibiotics. Savor the season. Shop Summer Fruit Fest at Whole Foods Market.
At the very least, what you're describing, some of these possible outcomes or scenarios, is kind of at odds with the way that Meta has described the possibilities for this product, right? Like they described it as something that's going to, deepen your friendships and let you express yourself. And I'm not saying that that can't necessarily happen. But to your point, the way that our impulses and the way that we want to interact with others or sometimes want to control or monitor what they're doing, that seems more like the sort of lowest common denominator area where people actually engage with apps like these and features like these.
Absolutely. And this also doesn't just show up in our romantic relationships too. Like the last time I was on this show, we were talking about location tracking.
Right.
And that's something, super common in families with parents and kids, super common with romantic partners, but also super common in friend groups. And when I was reporting on some of the problems that happen here, friends are not immune from some forms of control and in the worst cases, abuse or tension over location sharing, whether that's their willingness to location share or actually where they are and what their friends are watching them do as they move through the world. So I think that, talking about our crushes and our romantic partners are probably some of the most stark examples, but it's certainly not limited to that. And we've watched Meta dip its toe into the waters of these features that pose a risk to privacy. Of course, Meta's never had a great reputation for guarding its users' privacy.
Very true.
But for example, companies like the app Life 360, like Snapchat with its Snap Map, Apple with its Find My Friends, really normalized a feature like location sharing, which gives us really unprecedented visibility into the lives of the people around us. And we saw about a year ago, Instagram start to experiment with a real-time map where you could see your friends' locations. So we noticed that they see the value in these features. They're totally aware of this kind of itchy desire to know more and more and more about the lives of the people around us. And they're willing to experiment with it and build it into the app and kind of see what happens.
I wonder, this makes me think about a phenomenon I feel like that's kind of uniquely born out of these increased tools that we have to possibly connect, possibly surveil each other. And it's very connected to, I think, how we use Instagram. Micro cheating, this idea that certain behaviors like rewatching someone's Instagram story could be read as breaking trust or cheating. How can some of these features present opportunities to create chaos in our personal relationships rather than more peace?
Yeah. So micro cheating is a term that people have used before they were talking about internet and social media stuff. But I think it's become a lot more powerful of a term as the kind of size of these perceived betrayals gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Like we all know the person who would be really pissed and offended if their partner was liking somebody else's Instagram story, if their partner was following a pretty stranger or celebrity on Instagram, if their partner was commenting on somebody, maybe somebody of the opposite gender on their posts, right? And so the kind of behaviors that we perceive as infidelity have gotten smaller and smaller and smaller thus the term microcheating. And so I think that the more that a company like Meta that's incentivized to increase people's time on app, increase kind of the stickiness of this app so that people come back and they watch the ads and they hang out on there, that we see them leaning into these kind of features, I think shows that they, one, like we said, that they see the power of these features, how much people want them, but it also does present this possibility for utter chaos and societal collapse as we're given the tools to get more and more of that visibility, rather than ever having to stop and consider, like, what do I consider to be infidelity? What do I consider, to be a lie or betrayal by a friend or lover? How much should I care about this? How much should I get to see? How much do I even want to see? As the company gives us more and more avenues to just kind of lean into those impulses, we have fewer and fewer opportunities to kind of stop and ponder what we want our relationships to look like in this very, very digital world.
Yeah. So much of what we're talking about feels, in whatever way, in line with features and apps that Meta as a company has rolled out in the past. Like, looking back over Meta's history, what are some major moments or features that kind of led us to this point where we're looking at this new slate of Instagram Plus features?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I think that the Instagram map is a really good one, because that was a pretty clear line in the sand of Instagram saying, we are going to add an interpersonal tracking feature to this app. So, it's not just about keeping tabs on your friends through what they actively choose to post. You can now keep tabs on your friends more passively by watching their movements on a map. So I think the map on Instagram,
so wild. Yeah.
was a really big one. Let me think for 1 second in case there's other really good ones here. Close friends. That the way to give people more control over how they present themselves on Instagram. And by that, I mean, being able to present yourself one way to one audience and a different way to a different audience. While I think that is not a bad thing necessarily, it's another example of, I think, Instagram noticing the ways that people want to use the platform, which in that case was, I have things that I want to say that are inappropriate for my general audience on this app.
Yeah.
And I'd like to have this power to curate what version of myself I'm showing to different audiences.
I wonder, how might this change the experience of Instagram for people like myself, who are regular users, actually, or even people who use the app more than I do, right? Who are daily users, but not paying for premium?
I think that for people who already have some level of discomfort with just how Instagram operates, what kind of app it is, I think that this could totally exacerbate that, where these features seem to be intended for power users, people who use Instagram for their social lives in a big way, who are on there a lot, who want more. And I think for more casual users, maybe like you, now, you're probably not thinking about the fact that somebody could be watching your stories in secret, that somebody is searching through their story view list for your name, that somebody put you on a list that only consists of you and a couple other people, or removed you from a list so that they could share something they didn't want you to see. It's like you're not thinking about it unless you're thinking about it. So it does kind of create this like two strata of people on Instagram. And I think that these, none of these features are going to break our social contract in some unfixable way yet. But I do think that it widens the gulf between maybe even younger people who use Instagram as a primary way to connect socially and people who don't use it that way.
Meta says that these features are meant to, quote, deepen your friendships among users. Do premium membership tiers actually deepen connection on Instagram or even on other apps?
This is an opinion, but to me, it is crazy work for Meta to describe these features as a way to more honestly express yourself and connect with others, when some of them are just explicitly surreptitious. How on earth am I connecting more deeply with my friends by watching their stories in secret?
Fair.
I think that, this company cannot reasonably say, hey, we've rolled out this suite of premium features because we see you creepy little weirdos. We see everything you do. And we're gonna, build features to kind of legitimize and empower some of the shadier ways that people use this platform.
I mean, I also wonder too, like on a broader point about membership tiers, right? There are plenty of people that pay for the membership tier experience of different kinds of apps, whether they are social media apps like ones we're talking about, or dating apps, which are in a way almost a different form of social media app when you really think about like how the app companies want you to interact. They want you to stay on, the app and interacting with it as long as possible, right? It's not that different from, a platform like Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or TikTok or whatever. I wonder, in what ways might membership tiers on social media platforms be stratifying our social media experience? And what does that either reflect or what could it possibly affect about our actual world?
I think that to understand that or to answer that, it's important to pull the camera back to the consumer tech industry at large and some of the patterns that we've seen over the last decade or so. You've had Cory Doctorow on the show.
Yes, we have had him on, and he talked about his concept that we can't say the title of right now, but it's basically this pattern of digital platforms and services declining over time as tech companies try to maximize profits at the expense of customers and their user experience.
I am kind of concerned about the way that we could almost get like hoodwinked into paying money for something that should really be free because we're being advertised to so heavily. Our data is the price we pay to use a Meta product. Our eyeballs and our minutes watching these ads is the price we pay. Now you want me to pay like $1 price? I'm suspicious.
Oh my gosh, Tatum, I'm like, it's interesting. I mean, I guess this is how this is meant to work, but I've like left this conversation on one hand feeling like, okay, I'm armed with a way to think about this critically. These sorts of changes on an app that previously hasn't really had this kind of sort of paid tier in this way before. But also, I totally understand why some people are interested in this. And I'm very curious to see how it catches on. Tatum, thank you so much. It's been such a great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Tatum Hunter, a writer and journalist who covers digital privacy and internet culture. This episode of It's Been a Minute was produced by
Corey Antonio Rose.
This episode was edited by
Nina Patak.
Our supervising producer is
Cher Vincent.
Our executive producer is
Barton Girdwood.
Our VP of programming is
Yolanda Sanguini.
All right, that's all for this episode of It's Been a Minute from NPR. I'm Brittany Luce. Talk soon.
This message comes from Capella University. That spark you feel? That's your drive for more. Capella University's FlexPath learning format lets you earn your degree at your pace without putting life on pause. Learn more at capella.edu. This message comes from BetterHelp. One of the hardest parts about starting therapy? Not knowing what to expect. Instead of listening to an ad, hear from the people who've actually been there. Visit BetterHelp.com/reviews to explore real client reviews that are updated every day. With an average live therapy session rating of 4.9 out of 5, based on more than 1.7 million client session reviews, the feedback speaks for itself. Visit BetterHelp.com/reviews.
This message comes from Grainger. For the ones who get it done, Grainger offers the professional-grade products you need to get the job done. With fast delivery and access to technical product experts ready to help you meet any challenge. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by.